The class began to play a ranchera. Juan had asked our teacher, Skip, to play one, and Skip had come to class armed with sheet music. So the house band played a few lines on the fiddle, the mandolin, and the guitar, and after a few moments, Skip motioned for us, and we brought our harmonicas to our lips. Some of us read along with the music, and others simply reached out and tried to feel for the music. Playing by ear, as Skip would say, playing by heart, as far as I was concerned. And at first, we sounded like a flock of geese that had been frightened by gunfire. But after a few minutes, no longer discordant, we were making music, Mexican music. And we were led by a chorus of diatonic harmonicas. Juan beamed, I wanted a shot of tequila, and we all moved to the lilting pace of the ranchera as we took our turns playing a few bars of the song. My brother was the player. Me? We knew that ever since he sat down in an upright in Aunt Jess's basement when he was about 5 years old. He made music from the very beginning. I was the appreciator. I had attempted to play. I took guitar lessons, but my short, stubby fingers fought against the strings. I took piano lessons and aspired to mechanical. Musical was never really part of the equation. And I took drum lessons. My mother put the kibosh on that. And it wouldn't have worked anyway because I couldn't play 3 with one hand and 4 with the other. And I had harmonicas, but rarely played them. And even more rarely played them when somebody came around. Now, I could never bend a note. I was bold enough to sing, but never being a self-conscious type. And I always had a nice speaking voice, but singing, not so much. I had the range of a studio apartment. My wife interviewed Junior Wells for a story that she was writing, and we went to the Checkerboard Lounge on 43rd Street to hear him play. She interviewed Junior between sets, and she told him that her husband played a little harmonica. He beckoned me to the stage. I was drunk enough to be coaxed. I was more or less playing the same song as the band for the first few bars, but quickly played myself onto a detour and eventually pulled over to the side of the road. Fortunately, the Chicago blues sound is quite loud and covered the potholes that my playing had left on the stage. The harmonicas stayed buried in a drawer for years. Once the kids were out of the house, my wife took a songwriting class at the Old Town School. She didn't expect to be the next Joni Mitchell, but she thought that by pursuing her inner Joni, it would help her with her craft as a writer of words. She was interested in how the process of songwriting would help her with her process as a writer. I left my gig as a lawyer, dressed in lawyer's clothing, to meet my wife after her class. My day gig required me to cite authority for any opinion I might have. Creativity was frowned upon. Once I got to the Old Town, I lounged in the lobby, sipping a beer, reading a magazine, and then listening to Miles Davis or John Coltrane or Herbie Hancock on my iPad, thinking I was too cool for school. And I didn't want to mix in, preferring to sit on my little island as an allegedly discerning appreciator of art. And after a few weeks of sitting in the lobby, I took off the earphones, and I experienced the ambiance of the Old Town. I looked over towards the trio that had playing in the corner of the lobby, and I sent an ear that way as well. The Pickin' Bugs were practicing for their next gig at the Grafton pub next door, and I listened as the banjo, the mandolin, and the fiddle, and all the harmonies of the voices of those who played those instruments. And they listened too, to each other. And one of them would fill a space in the music, and at other times they would leave it spare, letting the songs remain straightforward and uncluttered. I put the iPod away. I heard songs that I remembered from years ago, and others that were old to the world but new to me. And I found myself singing along with them. There were lonely laments, plaintive calls to a vanished lover, and retorts of an intoxicated fighter. At some point, I must have picked up a class schedule. I didn't recall doing so. I just found myself leafing through pages of the harmonica classes when my wife came out of hers. And on the way home, I told her that I was thinking about considering, perhaps, perchance, maybe, if, the possibility, if I was free, of taking an introductory harmonica class. She heard both the excitement and the hesitation in my voice and made the decision for me. A few days later, she signed me up, and my birthday present was enrollment in Harmonica 1 with Skip Lant. Skip was a retired educator who couldn't get teaching out of his system. His pension years have been devoted to teaching adults how to play the harmonica, leading the jug band, and promoting the Old Town School. I expected to learn how to play the harmonica. What I didn't figure out was learning how to play music, learning how to play with others, learning how to be creative. And at first, we struggled to play a single note. But Skip had a guitar player come to class, so we were making music from the first time, from the first moment. And after graduating from Harmonica 1, I signed up for Harmonica Forever, where we played along with the band. Skip encouraged us to play by ear and be aware of what the other musicians were doing. We learned to play the song as a group. This was a cooperative venture, not a lonely one. We didn't just play the blues. We played a wide variety of songs: country, folk, rock, old standards. We played Somewhere Over the Rainbow, the theme from the movie Black Orpheus, protest songs by Woody Guthrie, and of course, a ranchero. Sometimes we simply improvised. We collaborated, we rewrote the songs, participated in the music, and we learned to walk the tightrope, and he encouraged us to play without a net. The concept of collaboration and awareness of the music is a public act was reinforced when I joined the Grateful Dead ensemble led by Steve Levitt. The school has open jams a couple of times a week. I worked up the nerve to go to one of those Thursday night jams when I was still in Harmonica 1. I sat, I listened, too intimidated to play. It was a range of players from accomplished to novice, and the leaders made sure everybody there got a chance to play. They made sure the players jointly made music rather than simply masturbating with their instruments. I often went to the Thursday night jams just to play with Michael Mann, who passed away last year. Mike laughed at my jokes and I laughed at his, and I'm not convinced he even knew my name. He'd call out, "Harmonica guy in the blue shirt," rather than David. And still we shared moments of wordplay amidst the song play. And when he expected me to take a solo on the harmonica, I'd sing a verse of the song and take the character in a tragically or comically unexpected direction. I wish he could have been around for me to have told him more of my stories. But he was very sick and then gone before I got a chance to write many of them. There was a secondary benefit to learning how to play the harmonica. In learning how to play in a band, it was learning how to be creative and learning how to perform. I mean, this is pretty much what I'm doing right here and right now. I wrote this story. It came from my heart, my memory. But how you react and what I do with that, here, at this moment, in this place, is what this piece becomes. You are part of my audience, but we are really collaborators, bandmates. You know, my wife was right when she took a songwriting class, figuring it would help with her work as a writer. I just wanted to learn how to play the damn harmonicas that had been sitting in my drawer. I never figured it would have any relevance to storytelling. Learning how to feel, to listen, to improvise, to express, to modulate the expression made me a better writer and a better storyteller. Hey, I'm not saying good, I'm just saying better. So, Mike, thank you. Skip, thank you. Thank you, Pick and Buzz, and thank you, Steve, and thank you, Old Town School of Folk Music, for teaching me the unintended lesson that the harmonica is mightier than the sword.
Yeah.